Cancer rising. How you doing, Cancer? This is your reading for the Mars Retrograde. It's going to start off in Leo and then head predominantly into your sign, Cancer. Hello and welcome. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and as you just heard, and as you can see, I channel multidimensional energies through my body, both in the form of physical and vocal light language. All of this is going to be happening throughout the reading, and it brings in healing, attunement, and activation codes to the messages that want to come through. So I read for the rising signs. So for those of you who don't have Cancer in the first house, look to where Cancer does fall in your natal chart. Mine falls in the 12th. Look to the themes of the house that it's in. You want to apply those themes as well as all the other meaning you've got going on in the sign of Cancer, Sun, Moon, Mars, whatever it is. Put all that together and apply that to what comes through in this reading, because it will be as if that Cancer energy has now energetically moved to the first house. So the astrology for the rising sign that I'm going to break down is still going to be very, very relevant for wherever Cancer falls in your chart. So I'm just going to break down what the vibe is in terms of how I'm pulling the cards and what's the intention behind them. I'm going to write, it's going to be in the description box as well, as is all the dates and the degrees of this Mars retrograde. First off, I want to say I've done a 2-part series that breaks down Mars, the retrograde, the major themes, both in Cancer and Leo, and all tied together. There were oracle cards and tarot cards and lots of astrology, where for each section of the retrograde, i.e. it initiating the retrograde, it moving into your sign Cancer, it going direct in your sign, then moving back into Leo. I've broken down the astrology of each of those moments because they imprint onto the Mars's journey. So if you want a deeper understanding, and Mars doesn't retrograde very often, in fact the least out of all of the celestial bodies, and it's a personal planet. It's our motivation, our drive, our action. It's very instinctive, very independent. It's our get up and go. Mars rules the blood. It's the god of war, but I also see Mars as the master builder. It's how do we build in the 3D from our instincts, right, from our motivation. So as I said, I've broken down the overall themes, some really core astrological energy that you might want to tap into, particularly the Cancer energy, as this is going to be mostly in your sign. It's only in 6 degrees of Leo, and it's 13 degrees of your sign, because it's going up to 17 degrees exactly in the sign of Cancer. You might want to pause this video, go watch the 2 parts. Part 1 is the retrograde, part 2 is the direct motion and the overall theme. And then come back and watch this and see how it applies directly to Cancer. So in terms of the tarot, there's going to be 3 piles on the selenite. The first pile, there's going to be 3 cards. The first card is going to be the overall intention of this whole retrograde, covering both the interlinking of the Leo and the Cancer energy. And then there's going to be a card for the intention of the Leo part of the chart, because it starts there. And then the third card is for you, Cancer. So that's pile 1. Pile 2 is the challenges we may face and how to work with them. So there's going to be 4 cards in that pile. The first one is the challenge in Leo and how to work with it. And then the challenge in Cancer and how to work with it. Pile 3 is going to be the sort of the culmination, what's coming out of all of this. After we've gone through this very long process, we're not going to be Mars isn't going to leave the whole cycle until the 2nd of May. And that is because we've got the retrograde motion where it's going back in the sky, but it's then going to go back over those degrees. So it's still going to be part of that cycle. And it's not going beyond the 6 degrees and 10 minutes of Leo until the 2nd of May. So we're working with this energy for quite some time. I'm also going to be pulling 4 oracle cards. And I'll explain what each of those are when we get to them, because if I say it now, you probably will forget. There's a lot of information, but I've also written it in the description box, so you can click on that as well. And they're going to be extra information to help facilitate this journey and this understanding. As I said, I've gone into more detail in the collective and oracle reading part 1 and 2. I'm not going to go so much into all of that detail in this reading. I'm going to be touching on the themes of the houses and some what's the word? Tools that you can use to apply a more of a personal understanding to what's coming through in this general reading for the sign of Cancer. Okay, so let's begin. So Mars is now retrograde in the sign of Leo, and that for you is in your second house of your resources, your skills and your tools to manifest and bring in regular income. It's the things that you value, and most importantly, how you value yourself. Now, if we don't value ourselves truly, madly, deeply, then we prioritize things that we value that then recreate that lack of inner value. If we don't value ourselves truly, madly, deeply, we can't fully embody our skills and our tools and our manifestation ability, because there's that doubt in the back of our mind. Yeah, my head's now just shaking. Feels like they're releasing some of that energy already for us, which is great. So it is, you know, how you make regular income as well. And Mars is there, and it's retrograde. So there's a sense of slowing down. There's a sense of revising and revisiting. Oh God, words. Mercury is retrograde. Let's blame it on that. Of around your motivation, your drive, and your actions when it comes to the skills and tools that you have, as well as bringing in regular income and how you value yourself. So Mars in its retrograde energy is going to be highlighting old habits, right? That old instincts, old motivations, old drives. And so there's sort of unintegrated energies of not valuing yourself, or not having the motivation to work on your skills and tools. Like you may have had certain situations that things just haven't been going well, and it's just sort of it's recalibrating all of that, right? It's quite phenomenal. And interestingly enough, Leo has now had the 3 personal planets, Mercury, Venus and Mars, retrograde in this sign, in the sign of Leo. So we had the Mercury and Venus retrograde last summer. So this is a big shift around the Leo energy, which is setting us up for the Pluto opposition in Aquarius. So as I said, there's going to be 2 sides of the same coin with Mars. That it's going to highlight where are there wounds around your motivation, drive and your instincts when it comes to the truth of your own value, valuing other things. So it could be taking action and enforcing the things that you don't actually truly value at a soul level, right, in order to let you know that, right, and highlight it so you can then do the work, because retrogrades are the inner work. It really is a yin energy of observing. Oh, where did that go? Of observing. I didn't want that one. Of observing your instincts, like the actions that you're taking. That's going to be really helpful, as well as it's going to be highlighting the recalibration, right, of really giving you a fresh lease of life via the heart to get up and go and do the damn thing, to feel confident and brave within yourself, knowing your own value, letting your heart shine really brightly. Now, before I move on to Cancer, I just want to highlight some tips that you can use to really refine your understanding on this on a personal level. So 1, look to where your Mars is. And this will all apply to the Cancer section as well. Look to where your Mars is. In your natal chart. Look to the house that it's in and the sign that it's in as well. So you want to apply those themes of that house as well as the lens of the sign that it's in, because that's your Mars is always getting activated with every Mars transit. So the themes of the house that it's in are likely to show up for each individual, right, or wherever that falls. Ichalama doela dishenima. And as I said, that's still going to apply with the Cancer area. Itoela dishenimotofiela. Now, Mars, for both of these sections, is going to be elevating the Scorpio and Aries area of your chart as well, because Mars traditionally rules both of those signs, and that's what I work with. So you have Scorpio over in your 5th house of your creation energy, your house of joy. This is amusement, fun, games, play, children, both literal and figurative children, such as your inner child. As well as the creative things you birth into the world that feel like your children. So Mars over in the 2nd house of how you value yourself, your skills and tools, is wanting you to bring in more play with it, get more creative. It's going to be strengthening that connection between how you navigate your skills and tools and manifest via your creation energy. So that is really powerful. I can also see any wounds with that inner child, right? We can have a lot of addiction in the 5th house where we're prioritizing play over the elevation of our skills and tools, or where there's this particular wound with the inner child that doesn't value itself, right? That you're then working through. If there's any sort of romantic environment going on in your life, it may be a time when you are particularly, okay, there's several things that want to come through with that. So if you've been in romantic relationships where you haven't felt valued, or your sense of value has diminished, Mars is going to really help reorientate what you're drawn to in that regard as we move forward, and then help you navigate and work through any poor impulse control, as well as bring in a new frequency of matching with people, matching with play and energies like that are in alignment with how you value yourself at a core level, a root level that's linked to your soul, rather than your trauma. So Mars is influencing that sign, and so those themes are playing a role in what's going on, as well as Aries. And Aries is in your 10th house of life purpose and career. Career doesn't have to be life purpose, it can just facilitate it. It's about visibility and reputation, how the big outside world sees you, and it's also linked into bosses. So this is 2 work houses being activated. So if you've had any frustrations around motivation in terms of where you're headed with your career and what you're doing, Mars is really going to help you work through those issues, as well as ramp up your motivation to head into the next stage of your life purpose. So you might see a lot of what Mars is doing in the 2nd be amplified by your creativity and where you're headed, and that's a really lovely combination. Now, Mars, while it's in the sign of Leo, and that's going to be till 6th of January, so it's moving, so the Sun is ruling Mars, because Leo is ruled by the Sun, and so Sagittarius and Capricorn themes and the houses that they're in are going to influence what's going on with Mars. And so obviously Sagittarius is another fire sign, and that is your 6th house of work, the adult in the room, right? How you work, how you figure things out, physical health, routines, co-workers, therefore collaboration or conflict, and pets, and so therefore acts of service, acts of duty. Sun is there right now, it's at 15 degrees, so we've got another 15 days of it, where the Sun is saying, hey, let's get to be the adult in the room, let's step up to the plate, be a bit more mature in our understanding of our own value, get out of our heads, get out of the smaller picture and zoom out, right? I often find, okay, they wanted 1 extra card from the Dila to go with that 3rd pile of the challenge. What was I saying? Just stepping up to the plate to your own existence, having more vision and clarity around what may have blocked you from being the adult in the room, to yourself, to really taking care of yourself, focusing on work. Work's great, doesn't mean not having fun. So the sun is going to reflect on that, and then it's supporting, one, revealing any blockages around your capacity to do that, so Mars can then recalibrate, as well as amplifying your dedication and your vision around the way that you work, so you're then able to facilitate how you then understand your skills and your tools and really be able to see your own value in the way that you work. And then it's going to move into Capricorn, and that is in your 7th house. Now, the 7th house is the house of the other. It's opposite your sign, Cancer. And this is all about one-on-one important relationships in your life. Now, unless we've figured out the 6th house of how you work, right? Relationships tend not to work so well because you don't understand how you work. So how are you going to show up and be able to explain that to somebody else? And then, and then co-create. Oh, that's just reminded me. I just want to say what happened in the lead up to sitting down to do this reading. So I usually don't eat before readings because when I eat, I can feel quite heavy. My chart is a lot of fire and air. But I felt really called to eat. And obviously Cancer rules the stomach. There is this sense of nourishment and nurturing. So I was nurturing myself. I was feeding myself. I was giving myself that energy. And then since I've started channeling and also doing a lot of inner work and speaking my truth, my vocal, my capacity to sing has completely shifted. I used to be completely it wasn't tone deaf. It was just not being able to hit a key and being really discordant in its nature. It always felt quite trapped. My throat felt quite trapped. And with all of this, it's evolved and it's changed. I'm not saying it's amazing, but it's certainly better than what it was for most of my life. That I just started, can she get up? I've just got to pause and help one of the cats out. I do apologise. Apologies. And just sort of letting your vocal cords sing and with no intention behind it is often a really great way of channeling, especially when you're not trying to force it, you're not trying to think of the next note, you're just letting your voice come through. And in the lead up to coming to sit here, I just was singing the word thriving, and over 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 again, and it was just forming just a lovely melody. But I just wanted to say those two things because I think it's very much directly linked into this reading, into the Cancer energy of what's an overall message of what's coming through is your capacity to nurture yourself and activate a level of thriving. And of course the 2nd house is all about your regular income, the more resources that you have. And that doesn't just have to be monetarily, but obviously we live in that structure, so it's very important of activating this cycle is going to be bringing in an activation of your capacity to thrive from a place of confidence and independence. So back to the 7th house. So it's great that it's gone from the 6th to the 7th, because now it's one-to-one relationships. This could be business partners, one-to-one clients, near and dear friends, long-term committed romantic relationships, as well as your relationship with Source. And so there's a focal point here now that's influencing Mars. And so this could be, if you've had any difficulties with this throughout your lifetime, that those threads are still lingering in your energetic field, that's impacted the way that you take action, impacted your instincts, impacted your sense of value, right? The sun is going to shine a light on that. You're going to see it through your actions, right? As I said, observe what you're instinctively doing. It's going to be very helpful to understand what's unfolding and how to then work with it. And so, as I said, any wounds that have blocked that, the sun is going to help facilitate Mars to work through, as well as strengthening the connection of working with others and really being able to still be in your power, still value yourself, not have that be distorted, and collaborate in a really healthy way. So that might be linked into a partner, Source, a business partner, all of those things. And so that's going to be the predominant energy for the trip, the Mars's trip in Leo. Now, one of the core things that came through in the collective readings, and I'm really not going to bring very much of what came through in there into these readings, but this is because Mars is in the sun and the moon, right? Our conscious and our unconscious. Also, the sun is represented traditionally as the paternal energy in your life, right? The sort of the father figure as well. And then the moon is the maternal figure. And these are not sex specific, these are just energies. There are a lot of wounds around that, and it'd be pretty rare for anyone to not have any wounds around that unless they're really ascended, and I don't think they're watching this. Well, they might be. Just heard from the energies, but we are, and we love what you're saying. Because even if you feel like you don't have any, you can have this awareness of then observing that in other people and know that that's what they're going through. So whatever. That with that seventh house being activated, and so often we recreate our love languages that we learn from our early years in any dynamic that we're in, and we're in the outside world. So that's the Leo energy, and let's get into the Cancer energy. So it's going to move into the sign of Cancer on the 6th of January. As I said, all the dates are in the description box, and so it's then going to be governed by the moon. But before I get to that, sorry, there's a lot of information. I'm trying to keep it linear. It's pretty hard. The moon's just moved into Pisces. So Cancer, your first house. This is the house of self. This is the embodiment of your sun or your moon. It all depends if you've got a day or a night chart, which luminary is giving giving wisdom to your ascendant of where to go. And your ascendant is your navigator. It's the lens in which you move through these cosmic waters. And so the first house is your embodiment of self through your actions and your deeds. It's your body, your character, your sense of self, and often how other people see you. It's a really major house. And so having a Mars retrograde here, this is going to be very significant in terms of how you are inherently motivated, right? Where do you get your independence from? Where do you get your courage, your desire to take action, your passions? Where has that been restricted? Where has that been limited? And Mars is going to be re-navigating that. So Mars is then going to be ruled by the moon. Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm all right, I might have already said it. For the Mars in Leo transit sections, look to where your sun is as well, because your sun in your natal chart is always influencing Leo. And so whatever house it's in and the themes of that house, as well as the lens of the sign, is going to be influencing the Mars journey, right? So the themes of that is going to crop up as well. I know there's I'm trying to just give a lot of detail for that to make it really personal, because this is a big transit. This is really huge. So the moon rules your sign, Cancer, and so we'll be ruling Mars for a good amount of time. And what I love about this is that the moon is the fastest moving celestial body. It's zipping round all the houses, and so this means we're going to get a full integration of awareness of where our motivation and drive and action has been limited by a distortion in our emotional field, by whether our needs have been met or not, and whether we've received nourishment or our capacity to give nourishment. Those are the themes of the moon, and so the moon is going to be activating that intuitively every 2.5 days or so. And so it's a full holistic integration of the whole chart into you, into your embodiment. And so this is absolutely fantastic for all of us. Whereas Mars was recalibrating our yang, fire energy via the heart, our capacity to take action outwardly, Mars in Cancer is recalibrating the inner world, your inner emotional body, and where any blockages in those emotions have stopped you from getting up and going. Hypersensitivity, this constant desire to nourish and nurture people around you and not doing it to yourself. As I said, Mars is very independent and it really likes a job to do. So while it's in your first house, this is a great time to just observe what bubbles up from your water body, what emotions you're feeling, and where that's either raising up your motivation or diminishing it. That's going to be very helpful in terms of like if your body's feeling really heavy, think about what's happened on that day in that moment to activate that, and that is going to help you on this journey. Itiala, Mars in Cancer is so in tune with your intuition. I love Mars in Cancer. When you take action, rather than worrying about what you need to do next, or if there's a problem that comes up while you're doing something, Mars, just follow what you're doing. Follow the action and Mars will figure it out through your intuition. And it's just so powerful and so beautiful. And so look to where your moon is in regards to what's influencing Mars as well. So that's going to add on another layer. If you want to go even further with that, wherever your moon or your sun are and your Mars in your natal chart, look what sign they're in and look who rules that sign. And then you can play the energy transfer game back to the root energy. And so that is possibly bringing in your whole chart, right, of like what's influencing Mars, and it just makes it more personal for you. Ooh, what else did I want to say? So Mars in the first, as I said, anything that's blocked you from being yourself. Dishana otoela dianimo doe chanima dialan. As I said, Mars is very independent. It's really the way that Mars being in the first is follow what drives you to get up and go. It's not about what other people think or what other people ask you to do. It is very much coming from your root energy. Now be patient with all of this. If you're feeling heavy, if you're not feeling the motivation, trust that this is actually a moment that you need to rest and you need to pause and you need to observe. Trust in this process. We've got a lot of retrograde planets at the moment. Mercury and Jupiter and Neptune are also retrograde. But overall, with these two houses in alignment with your life purpose and your creativity, is a strengthening of your confidence, of your courage, of your determination, of your passion, of your motivation and drive and action to do the things to facilitate your manifestation ability. Your confidence to know and trust and value yourself, to experiment with your skills and your tools with Mars being there in retrograde. It's going to be a great time to play around. Don't worry if things don't work out. That's not the point. We learn things from those situations. That's going to really help, especially if you're doing it from like a playful, creative point of place with that Scorpio energy. Whoa, that's too many. Diani moyala. Diani mo tufiani. Diani. Obviously, Mars is linked into being the god of war, so there can be conflict, there can be drama, there can be frustration, and the desire to win at all costs. If these things do bubble up, breathe. See, because when these things come up, all it's doing really is to highlight where there's friction, and where there's friction, there's the capacity to create and build. But we're just redirecting that energy. Now, Mars is predominantly opposite Pluto for the whole of the Leo transit and for the beginning part. Again, that's too many, guys. I know you want to do all the cards because this is a very important transit, but we're trying to keep it succinct. Mars is opposite Pluto, which for you is in your 8th house. Now, the 8th house is about the outside world's resources. right? And your interaction with that. It can be about mortgages, loans, taxes, debt that is owed to you, debt that you owe, inheritance, both 3D and cosmic inheritance, as well as bonuses and commissions. It's more one-off chunks of money or resources, or working with the resources that aren't yours. Say you get a massive project come up, but the resources aren't yours, they're a different company, but you're sort of like doing that project there. Itoela dishala motofiela. Itala ma otuela dishala madofala diani moyala moyla. And it's very magical house. It's a very psychic house because it's about your relationship dynamic with source. And so it's how that relationship dynamic shows up. The resources from source. Because it's the exchange between anything other than you, between you and anything other than yourself. And so this is where relationship dynamics show up. The give and exchange between you and the outside world. This can be a one-on-one thing, collective thing, whatever. It's the lens in which this comes through, which is Aquarius, which is that sort of higher mind thinking. Sort of very egalitarian. And this can be time, money, energy, intimacy, ideas. So it's really interesting that you've got the 7th, the 8th, so the 6th and 7th in terms of where the sun is, while Mars is in Leo, opposite Pluto over in the 8th, because we can have a lot of scarcity complexes in the 8th. We can also have codependency or taking too much or giving too much in relationships, right? So it's lovely that you've got that 6th and 7th being activated, facilitating the transformational energy of Mars and Pluto working together to establish a stronger sense of value, which means perhaps any imbalances with the outside world are going to fall away. Now, Pluto opposite Mars can highlight some really difficult power dynamics. Obsession, possession, control, right? The sense of dominion, domination, conflict. Now, Cancer, we had this opposition in your sign for what moon was it? It was the Aries transits, I believe. It was squaring that. The Aries full moon. And this was, all they're trying to do is highlight where there are distorted power dynamics to make sure that we then get back into a state of neutrality and work together in a higher mind kind of way, right? So if these problems do come up, right, perhaps the outside world is going to bring a situation where, say, that project goes to somebody else and you're fuming and you want to kick off. Trust in the universe. Trust that you're learning something so incredibly important that's opening up more space for you to engage with the outside world from a place of abundance rather than a place of scarcity, and that project may have drained your time, drained your energy, and not given you what you needed at the end of it, and it's actually doing you a solid. This could be power dynamics with friends, business partners, romantic relationships, particularly because Mars is activating the 5th, where love and romance is. So just bear that in mind, right? Allow yourself to take a breath and take a step back and understand that everyone is being activated with this sort of opposition. But when these two work together, your power and your magnetism to take action from a place of expansion is just, my toes are wiggling at that, is just phenomenal. So just bear in mind, we're working with some really powerful energy. Right, okay, so all the cards are out. The oracle cards as well. Let me just put them in the order I want to read them in. Yep. Where should we go? Go there. So the intention of this transit, remember, with the first card is going to be the overall combined Leo Cancer energy. Second card is going to be for Leo. Third card is going to be for Cancer. We have the King of Pentacles, the Two of Cups, the Queen of Wands. So the King of Pentacles is the overall theme of the intention of this Mars retrograde. And it's kind of, I mean, I don't feel like I need to read any more cards with that King of Pentacles, because it's kind of summing up the combination of the second house and the first, of your capacity to build from a place of abundance, to manifest, to create your resources and how you work with them, right? Your skills and your tools, your sense of value. Do you think the King of Pentacles doesn't value itself? The King of Pentacles knows that every act we take, everything we do is an act of creation and therefore an act of abundance. And with that mindset, it then actually brings in the abundance. Now, the King of Pentacles holds the golden scepter, and the only other person in the tarot that does so is Venus, is the Empress, that pure creativity, that pure fertility and abundance. So this is incredibly powerful of your embodiment of self, Mars in Cancer, and the capacity for you to bring in resources, to cultivate resources from a place of value. So inherently, don't need to read any more cards, because that's it. It's not really, but there we go. So we have, oh, what's going on with the light here? It's going to pause a second. Something's going on with my camera. Oh my goodness, I nearly had a little heart attack because it looked like the screen was dissolved. Oh, it's doing it again. Cancer, apologies. I thought my screen was dissolving, but in fact it was the back of my phone has peeled off. So I had to go and get an elastic band, and in the process I stopped the recording completely, which is why you're probably seeing this in a smaller screen when I had to put them together in the editor. So there may be some accidents with perhaps the tools that you use in the way that you work when you work. That you're going to find the solution to it. It's not going to be the end of the world, but there, you know, with Mars it can be some difficulties. So that's there's a chance that that's going to come through. Right. So back to what's going on with the Leo energy. We've got the Two of Cups. And so this is really beautiful. This is about respect, honor, and dignity, equality, right? These two really value each other, and they're willing to work together. This is the integration of the feminine, masculine, and spirit in yourself, like a deep healing process where you learn to love yourself truly, madly, deeply. You're open to receive. So often when things aren't necessarily going as well as we'd like in our working environment, it's because there's a wound within us that means that we don't think we're that worthy and valuable in order to receive. They're just hitting the heart space right now. So this is the intention of what Mars is up to get you into this place. This also can be about with your relationships as well. It doesn't have to be specified on that, but there is a sense of coming together, the sense of respect, and also this is perhaps how the outside world is going to treat you with a higher level of respect and love and value for what it is that you do. And then funnily enough, we've got some fire, which I love, for the Cancer energy. And this is so in alignment with the first house, though, of like that embodiment of self, right? How you navigate the world. And there's a real sense of passion, of courage, of transformation, of independence and drive. And we've got the Queen. Now, the Queen, you see, she's holding a sunflower. This means she always knows, right? Because the sunflower always moves towards the light, right? And it's really obvious in its understanding of that. And so there's a real sense of you cultivating your inner instincts, fire's instinct of how you embody yourself, that's drawing you always towards the light, drawing, this cultivation of independence. Look how she's sitting. Compare, if we've got another court card come up, I'll show you. But given the time, sort of when is it, medieval time that this is representing, feminine energy wouldn't be deemed very right on if they sat in this way, right? Okay, so it's a very sort of confident energy here that's coming through with that Cancer energy of how you embody yourself. And there's more passion coming in your capacity. I love that it's a Queen, because it's like queens are very yin and they energy. They observe, they cultivate, they bring nuance and depth. So it's essentially like you've got a cauldron within you that is just constantly giving out energy, and you're really like cultivating that energy, and it's going to keep you thriving. So I really love this energy, your capacity to build from a place of abundance, feeling more connected, more of your own value, and more instinctively in alignment, and your capacity to tend to that, rather than perhaps externalize all of your energy out into the world, rather than your inner frequency. Right, the challenges, and how to understand and work with them. So first up, with the Leo energy, we've got the Knight of Pentacles in reverse as the challenge, and the Star of how to work with it and understand it. So that this is quite very appropriate for the second house, right? Even though it's a fire sign, it is about, you know, our resources and how we build in the world, how we create regular resources, and how we manifest, right? And our capacity to get up and go and do it. Now the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. In the upright, this is the biggest but slowest horse. There's oak leaves representing wisdom and strength. This capacity to do the damn thing every day, to get up and go and do the thing, to understand that things take time and that you are going to get what you need, but there's this real sense of due diligence here with the Knight of Pentacles, and they embody their suit. They want to take action, they want to create and build, right? And so this is in reverse. So the blockages around your motivation, also with fire being in the second, can be very impatient, right? And so there's this sense of your motivation being dropped because perhaps things haven't worked out in the way that you would like them to, or in the time frame that you would like them to. So your inability to trust the process, as well as blockages around your motivation to do the thing and to trust in your own wisdom and your own strength. And it's come with the Star card, which is an Aquarius card. Let's start with just the themes of the Star. Now, she is unclothed. She has stripped back the layers. She has taken off the masks. She's getting as close to her unique self as she possibly can. And so often we struggle with that. We mask, we pretend, we don't see the truth of things. And there's this element of performance in a way that doesn't do us a service. And so it's calling you to focus on who are you really, what's at the root of you, and calling you to do some deep healing as well, because this is the healing card. You know, she's healing both the water and the earth, right? This sense of union of the landscape, of your emotional body and your physical vessel. There is all the stars are representing the galactic energy, bringing it down onto the 3D world. So there's, you know, some self-care energy here, right, of how to tend to this. And also this reflecting on, well, by reflecting on this, where there's blockages, you're going to know, okay, well, that seems to have stopped me from doing things. And then you're able to activate a healing process and really get to the truth of what your inherent frequency really feels, rather than perhaps this expectation of timing, productivity, what are you bringing to the table, kind of whether you have value or not energy. And this is really saying, get back to you. This isn't about the outside world. This is about you being inherently made of stardust and how you might have forgotten it. Now, this is also the Aquarius card, and so that is over where Pluto is in terms of your outside world resources, of the relationship dynamics. So it may be calling you to focus on, where do you think there might be scarcity, right? Where you haven't got the resources, perhaps a loan that you needed to start your business, and that's kind of put you down in the dumps, or certain relationship dynamics out of whack that you're like, why does this keep repeating? And then we can get stuck in that loop. It's calling you to look at it and then do the healing. And then for the Cancer section, we've got the 3 of Swords and the 9 of Pentacles in reverse. So the 3 of Swords, the challenge, the wounds of the heart, right? What people may have said, because they're swords, so it's perceptions, words, spells, ideals, things someone said to you when you were younger that you have no recollection of, but it's just stopped your heart from truly beating and taking you out into the world. And so it's asking you to reflect on where where you'll get up and go, right? You're sort of your embodiment of self, where it's not coming from the heart, where it's coming from grief instead. And it really wants you to tend to that while Mars is in Cancer. And it's got the 9 of Pentacles of how to work with it. And so this may be reflecting on what wounds have stopped you from believing that you can have a holistic life. Itala di shalama. 9 of Pentacles in the upright. This figure is really independent. They know what they need to do in order to bring about a happy home, a happy work, a happy friends, happy lover, whatever it is. But they're all working together, and it's all abundance, right? You can have your fun as well as put in the hard work. And so this has come up in reverse, and this is how to work with this. I'm getting another message come through, but I'll bring that in a second, of reflecting on how this has caused this blockage, right? To stop you from doing that, to stop you thinking that it's even possible in this lifetime. Ila! Again, they're hitting on the heart space. Ito, Leo rules the heart. Ito, ela. Diala, moila. I'm also getting another thread of like those of you who may be externalizing all of your energy into all of those things and then neglecting and forgetting about yourself. That you're required to do some healing at the moment, to slow down, to not be so proactive, because there may be certain information or certain opportunities that are coming up further down the line that are actually going to serve you. Where perhaps with your relationships, have you given away your power and not being able to say no? That then reinforces this 3 of Swords. That your heart's energy can't flourish through fear of rejection or fear of, taking up too much room. As well as amplifying the wounds of your career and your life purpose. Remember, Aries is getting activated via the house of creativity of Scorpio, of like, how can we bring that back into balance where you haven't, why is there perhaps a lack of joy in how you're moving through the world and building for the long term? Okay, I wanted to get an extra card on that. We've got the 5 of Pentacles in reverse. And so it's calling you to focus, right? You may be thinking that life is like this, right? Left out in the cold, really run down, no support, right? This sense of survival mechanisms, scarcity complexes here. This often turns up with an 8th house transit as well. But it's in reverse. So it's saying you've got to focus on the fact that even if you feel like this is going on around you, this is not the reality. This is your reality. Try and fake it till you make it. Sometimes, honestly, confidence is key. And it is one of those things like, what was I saying at the beginning? Thriving. Maybe do your own little ritual around that energy and like bring it forth when you go to sleep, when you wake up in the morning. So your unconscious is tapping into your conscious mind. Now, you got an extra card. Oh, nope. Extra card. Remember when I saw this, it was in the upright. So this is, I feel like this is helping with both of these things. Page of Cups, Pisces energy. This figure is talking to a fish in a cup, and that fish is talking back, right? This is the most joyous page, and it's all about love, communication of magic, imagination, creativity. Get creative. Get creative, try some new things out, try looking at the world from a more magical perspective, communicate with love to yourself. Understand that this is a process that's helping release these challenges, and by having that mindset of the awareness of the non-rational, the non-linear possibilities, getting outside of that sense of rational perspective of the 5 of Pentacles. If you have suffered from not getting the resources you need or feeling left out in the cold, there's a bit of delusion that needs to come through. Right, outcome. Let's put these in. Whoa, forgotten what you got. Page of Cups, High Priestess, the Hierophant. Itoela di Shani, and these two are very similar. Itoela with their pillars. So the Knight of Cups. So this is you now moving through the world as the true romantic, right? Of seeing the love, seeing the creativity, seeing the joy, being very confident in your Cancerian energy, the embodiment of such, but coming more from a truly aligned space, and like seeing the opportunities, being able to create and manifest. And very more imaginative, more playful, more loving. With the High Priestess and the Hierophant, this is your embodied wisdom and your deep intuition and knowing that you are drawing towards you that which will bring you abundance and fertility. So after all this drama, you're going to get to a point where it is fully embodied, that you're aware that what's coming towards you in the time that it's going to do so, because this isn't rushing around. This is, it's not the slowest horse, but it's kind of like ambling along, it's vibing, it's just enjoying the ride, right? The Knight of Cups, rather than the, am I doing what I need to do? Is everything coming in that it needs to come in? Who am I? What am I? And then the High Priestess is like, chill your beans, everything's cool. Your intuition is heightened. You have a deeper knowing within you that what comes towards you will serve you, and everything, like just lovely energy with that Hierophant, which is Taurus. Ituela di Shania. Which is your hopes and dreams, right? So there's a real sense, but just generally the Hierophant is about the embodied wisdom of the spiritual journey that you're on, right? Of like that ability to be in your own power, feeling very confident. There is an element of long-standing energy with the Hierophant. The Hierophant's also talking to other people. So there's something about the journey that you're going on that you're going to be sharing with others, whether that's just what you've learned and then put into practice, and then how you're showing up in a different way that people are going to be in more resonance with. Now, at the bottom of the deck, we've got the Five of Swords in reverse. Oh, that's interesting. You've got two fives in reverse, and fives are often about conflict. Now, this is about the bully in the mind and the victim mentality, as well as externally, right? Conflict. And this figure has actually won the Three of Swords, right? So this is in reverse of like stepping outside of conflict mode, whether that's external or internal in your residence. This is all, sorry, I forgot to mention at the beginning, sorry, I'm going so fast, just because I'm aware that there's a time frame of like how long I can do a video to piece them together on this phone. But these are all the oracle cards from the collective reading. I have them here to keep that energy at the desk. I love that Five of Swords in reverse of like, right, we can all be the victim and the bully, and we can get stuck in that cycle, and it's not very helpful in any way, shape or form. So when that comes up in reverse of like releasing that sort of constant conflict and stress, and that ties in with the Pluto-Mars opposition of like getting into right use of power rather than everything that I talked about with that, and it is swords, and that's air, and so Aquarius is air. So there's this sense of like getting right with the way that you navigate those kind of dynamics, and how they navigate with you as well. Now, the oracle cards. First up, from Amy Miranda's What We've Forgotten oracle deck. All the decks are in the description box, by the way, if any of them take your fancy. And this is the card to let us know what we are going to be remembering with this Mars retrograde. And you've got magic. So this is what you're going to be remembering during this journey. The old ways, path of magic. Magic is the non-ordinary. That's so funny with that Page of Cups. There's lots of stuff going on with Pisces in regards to the Cancer section of this transit. As I said, it's all in the collective readings, so there's not surprising we've got some magic show up. It is an interaction directly with the divine. It is the merging of worlds. You are standing at the intersection of your energetic field, and you are the one directing the traffic, deciding what direction the energy is going to go and flow. This is the practice of magic. The ancient Egyptians didn't separate religion and magic. Life was built around the belief that written images and words, when combined with action and ritual, had the capacity to influence the world. The belief was that this was done through a divine creative force known as Hecate, or magical power. The practice of magic is collaboration with energy itself. This week, try this simple practice and obviously apply that to the whole transit. When you wake up, imagine you're sending a signal that you're getting your day started from your energy to source itself. Oh, that's so funny. I said maybe in the morning, say like whatever it is, but thriving. I mean, that is source. That is the they've just brought all this energy into the heart space. They felt like they were pulling those swords out. Like, okay, it's making me think of, I had a reading done a couple of years ago, and they said that I used to be able to see spirits. But an adult told me that I couldn't when I was very young, and it switched it off. And what I was getting when they were pulling those swords out with this magic card is what you're healing during this transit is any sort of rational, or that's like that sword energy, objective, rational, linear understanding of reality that's blocked you from tapping into your own magic as your skills and your tools. And that doesn't, that can come up in so many different ways. We're all magicians, we're all channelers, we're all healers and intuitives. We just do it in our own ways. That there's a freedom coming through, and that's showing up with that Knight of Cups, High Priestess and Hierophant, of the embodied wisdom of Source and your capacity to move through the world with that power and build and feel connected and instinctively in alignment to draw yourself towards the sun. I am here for it. Right, where were we? When you wake up, imagine you're sending a signal that you're getting your day started from your energy to Source itself. This is a sign that you're in the world and you're ready for messages from Source. Notice, hello, magical reality, the downloads, the synchronicities, the weird stuff. Talking to a fish in a cup and not being freaked out. And that fish is talking back. Notice what may pass through in the week you're practicing being a human antenna for Source. So, next up. Ooh. Lol. Whoa. I'd forgotten it was that card. Oh God, how beautiful this deck is. This is from the Animal Spirit deck by Kim Krans. Give me a second to find the fish. Oh, that was so that's fascinating. So, personal synchronicity. I was watching something this morning that a fish came through in, and they were talking about the meaning of the fish, of which I cannot remember any of it, but I love it when those kind of constant synchronicities are at play. So this is your animal energy to sort of channel, right? During this transit, Mars is very sort of, there's a primalness to Mars. It's our instincts, our movement through the world. And so I wanted to bring in the animal deck for this. Restlessness, change of focus, lost in the current. The fish loves to be subsumed in life's current. Nothing pleases it more than movement, and more movement. The roaming lifestyle of the fish may be exhilarating for a while, but usually leads to wariness, slippery relationships. With all the possibilities out there in the vast waters, the fish becomes lost without clear goals and intentions. Spend some time with the lunar forces, dear fish, as the peace and calm of the moon will soothe your soul. When in balance, adaptable, travels well. When out of balance, distracted, changes mind often. To bring into balance, set a small goal and accomplish it. I feel like this is channeling the creativity of the trying that I said with the Mars retrograde in terms of your second house and your embodiment of self, of like, try different things, play around without any expectations of productivity, right? Adapt to what you're learning, and because when we fail, that's when we learn, and then we can shift and change. And allow yourself to flow with the movement of what's going on without trying to control it. And it, it's saying distracted changes mind often. And so, that can very much be the Gemini energy in the 12s, of do a little breath work, do a little meditation when you're feeling overwhelmed, where you're feeling disrupted, and just let the fluidity of the fish come through, and let yourself glide rather than be restless. I love how it's mentioning the moon as well, of like allowing that softness, the ruler of your sign, to guide you as you are swimming through new territory. In terms of like the clear goals and intentions, I would focus on that Knight of Cups, of your creativity, your imagination, your intuition, and because you're bringing that first house energy of Cancer into your second, of your instincts through the heart, and getting them in alignment, that passion and the emotional body, right? The drive to do the thing and the emotions that feed it. I love fire and water combined. But sometimes fire can be a bit impatient with water. It's about finding that happy balance between the restlessness and the emotional body, right? Of like giving your emotions time to give you the emotional resonance to get up and go and do the thing. Allow that water to feed the instinct. I hope that makes sense. So next up, we have Stranger and Curiosity. This is from the Shaman's Dream Oracle. The other, moving past fear of differences, curiosity and acceptance. The stranger moves through the world in a shroud of darkness that often elicits fear, rejection and uncertainty, as the danger of the unknown defines its very presence. Yes, there is a veil of separation between you. Look closer and summon the courage to remain open to what you might find. You may be conditioned to look only for what mirrors what is safe and known to you, refusing to entertain any concept of other, beyond something to fear. In order to broaden your world and your experience of it, you must refute the illusion that sameness is the only way. Nothing you expect externally matches up with the other, and you're challenged by your own inexperience, but don't miss this opportunity for learning. Something extraordinary is being offered to you now if you remain curious and teachable. Allow the newness to envelop you as you explore the possibilities. This is a departure from your expectations, but the stranger has come to invite you to dance to a new music, a new tempo, a new sensation that will add more dimension to you and what you create as a result. Now is the time to leave room for other points of view, other ways of seeing with humility and grace. This is a defining moment. Take the risk. Life is a precious diamond with many facets, not just one. While I was reading that, I was thinking about this restlessness of the fish. And, it is the animal spirit totem energy, right? So it's showing both sides of the same coin, because it's going to highlight where you're feeling restless, where you're wanting to move away from something that may make you feel a bit vulnerable, that you might be the unknown, and that constant sort of the shifting energy. And the stranger is calling you to get this fish to sort of allow itself to stay still for a second, to absorb new information before moving very quickly on to the next thing. And that stranger curiosity, again, is like open yourself up to new ways of doing things. Bounce off somebody else in your environment. Try new pathways. I said that at the beginning. This is a time for experimentation in regards to your skills and your tools. And be curious about the new sides of yourself that are coming through, without immediately rejecting them and thinking and being quite dismissive of the process. That's really beautiful, and it's making me think about Jupiter over in Gemini. Now, Jupiter is influencing the Leo retrograde and the Cancer direct motion. I do recommend the collective readings, just because otherwise I'm trying to keep these readings shorter because I know people don't have much time. But that also check out the Jupiter and Gemini transit series for the 12th. You're not going to have it for another 12 years. It's a phenomenal transit, and I think it's helping. I'm just feeling that energy quite a lot, so go check that out. That's going to make this really expand more than what I've already said about it. Itoela, diala moela, diela, dianima. Just as I was saying about the uncovering of self, there is more where that came from. Look at all those different versions of self. The cosmos are always the cosmos is always evolving, and so are you. So much more is on the way. One day we will understand exactly what this era was all about and why it needed to happen. Well, what a note to tie it on, right? A recalibration of self, my lovely Cancers. Be open to the transition. Be patient. Play around, experiment with no expectations of how it's going to turn out. As I said, trust in the process. If there's certain things that you're a bit frustrated, that haven't happened, know that it's all in alignment. It always is. Honestly, the amount of it just is. There's no getting around it. What else did I want to do? That is everything. I'm just feeling called to look at the bottom of the deck of Rainbow Brain Sculpt. Me, also me, also me, also me. Right, let me read it. It's very quick. Oh, that's so funny. It's too funny. You contain multitudes. Stop trying to shrink yourself down to a single thing. Accept the different seasons of your personality. Ooh, don't shrink, Cancer. Crack yourself open. Right, okay, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, hit that like button. It brings me a lot of joy. If you want a personal reading, perhaps to deep dive further into this, or anything else, my details are everywhere. You can go through my website, or if you want to pay by PayPal, email me directly. Other than that, Cancer, be good to yourselves, be good to those around you. Safe travels, and be well until we